What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios. Today I'm going to be sitting down and talking about why I don't collect Lego sets anymore, why I started displaying more of my own Lego mocs, and showing you guys all the Lego mocs I've built in my collection. Well, most of them. This whole mock-based movement started for a couple of main reasons. The first began when I started building large-scale mocs. I would finish those projects and I'd need to take them apart so I could reuse the pieces and minifigs in future projects, but I wanted some kind of physical memento or build to remember each of those mocs by. So after each project, I started saving small builds or chunks of the mock and turning them into their own little mocs. And the second reason was, as I started doing more random mock building challenges and just building more mocs in general, I realized there were a lot of these projects that I wanted to keep built. I didn't want to take them apart. I wanted to, represent and have in my Lego room stuff that I had built, because, I'd look around and I had other people's mocs, I had Lego sets on display, but I didn't really have anything of my own. And so I started keeping my own mocs around and slowly started to put them into the backgrounds of my videos. And I realized I like that so much more than just displaying sets, because it makes my setup a little bit more unique to myself and I'm not just displaying the same sets as everybody else. And it's almost like a little bit of a visual portfolio, kind of showing you guys what to expect and what I can put out on my channel. So today I'm going to be taking you through those mocs and kind of sharing the little stories or snippets or how they came to be. But before we take a look at the mocs, don't forget to execute Order 66 on that like button, and let's get started. All right, into the mock room we go, and you can see right off the bat, as everybody knows, we've got the Battle of Coruscant just absolutely dominating this room. Unfortunately, this is not part of my permanent mock setup. None of the large scale mocs are able to stay built just because, I need to reuse all the parts, minifigs and pieces, but boy, does this build have it all. My own custom builds, other people's custom builds, my own custom minifigs, official Lego minifigs, custom minifigs. I could fill a whole nother video just talking about this mock, but I already did that. If you haven't seen the finale, I will put a link to that video down below in the comments. You can go check it out. So next to Coruscant, we've got really the only display shelf I am able to put up in this room, and this is where I keep the bulk of my mocs. The top three shelves are kind of the nicer display sections, and then the bottom two shelves are kind of what I call the mock junkyards. So this is where I put just random smaller builds that come from mock projects, mock building challenges, personal projects, just other random things, builds I've had from my childhood, and I just things that I don't want to take apart, things that I think I might use later, so they kind of get dumped here. We've got some crates up here from Jabim. These were really fun to make, and I just felt like they would definitely come in handy in the future, and I've already used them I think a couple of times. Got an olive green one right there. This is a little exoskeleton mech that I built as a kid. It's not my own design. Same with this Jeep. I got the designs from someone off the internet. And then we've got a little minifig display thing. You twist the gear here and then it turns this up here so you can display the minifigs. I don't really use this anymore because I don't do minifig reviews. And then we've got a little anti-aircraft cannon from Kato Nemoidia. There in the back we've got my custom crab droid, and then someone else's artillery cannon that I built once again as a kid. As you can tell, I was big into the military stuff as a kid. Down here on the bottom we've got some more random builds. Honestly, some of these just need to be taken apart. I'm just too lazy. Like this vine, I don't need to keep this built. That's from a tutorial. This is a tree from a Ryloth mock I built like 2 years ago. And then we've got the Vixus from my Umbara mock. Then there in the back, we actually have a mock that I'm very proud of. This is my own custom designed artillery cannon. This was a big win for me because I've always really struggled to design and build those. And so to finally have a good one that I'm really proud of makes me really happy. And then underneath it, we've just got like a little minifig display build. And then down here in the front, we've got the tunnel mock that I built for my Commander Cody What If video. I just decided to keep this one built just in case, I need another tunnel build in the future. I figured it might come in handy. I've noticed as I've kept mocs built over the years, especially these smaller builds, I've found ways to reuse them or repurpose them, which helps save me time in the future. Moving up here to the better stuff, we've got my second Battle of Geonosis mock. So this is actually a small chunk of a larger mock. When I did my second Battle of Geonosis build, I took half of it and then kind of redesigned the outside, gave it all a nice frame, and then we've got my custom AV7 anti-vehicle cannon on it. This is a recurring theme you'll see throughout the tour. I keep sections of large mocs built just because, it's sad taking them apart, and I realized like very early on, I want to keep a piece of the mock around. Like I want to have some kind of like visual catalog or library that I can go through and just be like, this goes to this mock, this is that mock. And so this is the second Battle of Geonosis, and then up here we have a chunk of my Utapau mock. This one might be one of the most nostalgic builds. I just think it's so cool. Like I have an original chunk of that mock still built. Obviously I built it. It's not like it's a crazy cool collectible, but just to be able to think back on that time and that mock and think, you know, I still have a chunk of it built is really cool. Then up above it, we have a UCS scaled Republic attack shuttle. That's not designed by me. I'm pretty sure I got the instructions from Bruxy Builds on Rebrickable. Behind the chunk of Utapau, we've got just a random little aircraft boarding vehicle. I got the idea from H2 Brick. He built one of these for his gunships, and I was like, I got to do something like that. And then over here to the left, we actually have someone else's mock section. This is Mrs. Coconut's builds. She's got like a little field here with some sheep, and then she built this using a poly bag that I got a little while back. I don't remember what it was called, but you can see it was Asian themed. So that's pretty much it for like nice displayed stuff. I do have more mocks in here that kind of just got dumped in here. As you guys know, I moved to a temporary setup, so a lot of stuff had to stay packed, unfortunately. So I've got another AV7 anti-vehicle cannon right here. We've got Bradley there in the back, once again, someone else's design. And then up here on the top shelf, we have a custom Gungan catapult. This was the build or chunk that I kept built from that Battle of Naboo mock. So, you know, it's not the best built thing, but it's just kind of cool to have a piece of that mock still around. And then down here in these boxes, we have the remnants of Cato Nemoidia. I know this isn't the most beautiful piece of like memorabilia or relic from that mock, but there just wasn't really that many good options for things I could keep built. I do have part of the cables built, which is really cool, just because, you know, there was just so much of it was rock work and cloud work, and I obviously didn't want to keep any of that built. So I decided to keep one of the wall chunks with the cables coming off it. Down here in this box, we've got another remnant or, you know, piece of Cato Nemoidia. This wasn't actually part of the build, but this was the small mini mock that I designed to kind of help visualize what I wanted to do with the project. So I do count that as part of like piece of Cato Nemoidia that's still built. And then we've got the beginnings or workings of a Viking warship. Eventually that's supposed to come out on Coconut's Kingdom if I can ever end up finishing it. Down here we have a mock that I would love to rebuild, restore, and then display. It is a droid control ship that I built using the LEGO Ideas globe. This was a really fun build. If you haven't seen that challenge video, I'll put a link to it up in the top of the video. And then down there on the floor, you can see we've got more cables from Cato Nemoidia. Next to those cables on the floor, we've got another custom tank. This was I don't remember how much of this was someone else's design. I think all of it was someone else's design except for the tread parts. I don't really remember. I was like 12 or 13 when I built it. But I think that's pretty much everything I have to show you guys for in the mock room. And then out here we have the cream of the crop. The best of my LEGO mocks are kind of the ones that I like to display in my videos. You guys are probably a lot more familiar with these ones. Starting down here at the bottom, we've got 3 2013 ATTEs. I don't know what to call these, honestly, because they're not LEGO sets anymore, but they're technically not mocks because I didn't, you know, design the base structure, but you can see I added tile all across the outside of this one. You can't really tell because of the blue lighting, but it's actually a 501st ATTE. So the front's blue, it's got blue highlights. And then on the inside here, I designed a little custom command post or command station, whatever you want to call it, for clones and other ranking military members to use. Next to it, we've probably got the most heavily modified ATTE, the Rhino Company ATTE. Obviously there was recoloring that went on. I beefed up the legs. I had to go in the front here and redesign part of the interior structure. And then we've got the horns on the front. This one is definitely one of my favorite ATTEs in my collection. And then right here, we've got just a good old classic 2013 ATTE. I think the only things I did to modify this one were tile the outside. Down here in between the ATTEs, we've got a couple custom ATRTs. This one's just a generic Republic one. And then over here, we've got a shock trooper variant with a little stun cannon on the bottom for crowd control. And then up above that, we've got some more mini mocks. As you can tell, I've got my big mocks on display, and then I've got all kinds of smaller builds tucked away in between them. These are just a couple of small SPHA stun cannons or artillery laser cannons. These go with that giant core ship as part of the mock. Up above that, we have one of my favorite mocks in my collection, this beautiful custom Lego Acclimator. This was the first and only large-scale vehicle I've ever designed. And the reason this one is so special to me is because A, it looks really good and is, you know, it's a build that you don't really see a whole lot. There aren't too many custom acclimators out there. And B, this was like a huge confidence booster to me as like, I can build large scale vehicles. I never considered myself a vehicle builder. I really struggled with it, especially growing up. And so to be able to have put this thing together and, you know, have it still standing was just a testament to like the fact that I can do it, I can learn, I can figure out how to build vehicles, which meant a lot to me. Out in front of it, we've got some smaller mocks. This is just a Battle of Naboo mock. I just wanted to better represent this battle, I guess, because this is one of my all-time favorite battles in Star Wars and part of one of my favorite movies. So I just wanted to pay homage to that, and I had all of the pieces I needed already from that original Battle of Naboo mock I built. Next to that, we've got a recent addition to the collection. This is actually the only Imperial mock in the mock collection, and this just shows a little AT-DT walker, you know, got stuck and abandoned in a swamp. You can see it's slowly being overgrown. If you want to see the build challenge that this was a part of, I'll put a link to that up in the top of the video as well. And then next to that, we've got the City of Theed in microscale. This came about from my 6 coolest cities in microscale video, and this was definitely one of my favorites that I built, so I decided to keep it around. Up here on top, we've got the second largest Lego mock on display. This one and this one were actually the first 2 large scale mocks that I really decided to keep built, and kind of started that whole mindset and push towards keeping and displaying my own mock projects, especially the bigger ones, because, you know, I had some smaller stuff hanging around, but these were the first 2 that I was like, I really want to keep these around and enjoy them. This is just supposed to represent, you know, the jungles of Naboo, my favorite planet. I've got a waterfall here in the middle. I was kind of playing with angled mock building, so you can see, you can't really see super well from the front, but if you look at it from the side, you can see I was able to angle both the walls and kind of angle these sections together. So it was a very technical mock and something that I really wanted to keep around. And of course, I've got these awesome 91st Recon decaled clones. Over here, we've got a little Sherman. This one isn't designed by me. I think this one is JD Bricks or JB Bricks, or JB Butler. I don't remember exactly, but behind it, we've got a statue that's going to be used for a video coming up hopefully soon. This is supposed to be the statue from the Battlefront map, Renvar, the Citadel. And then back here, tucked away in the corner, we have one of the Lego dioramas, the trash compactor that I repurposed to a Delta Squad mock, but I think this one honestly isn't going to be kept around for too much longer. I took the minifigs out, and once the minifigs aren't in here, it's just not as cool. So I think I might, you know, dismantle this one and take the parts. And that's it for these display shelves over here. The only mocks left to show you guys are a couple over here. This is an Onderon mock for a build challenge that actually needs to be dismantled still. And then this one right here is Palpatine's office. This was for another diorama build challenge. I really like this one actually, so I decided to keep it built, but I did have to ravage it for parts for Coruscant. So hopefully when I start taking apart Coruscant, I can rebuild this one and restore it to its former glory. Looking at my Lego collection now, I'm much happier and more satisfied with it. Because I'm displaying mostly mocks, which take up more space than sets, there's just less on each of my shelves, and the displays look less cluttered and much cleaner. And because I'm not collecting Lego sets anymore, that frees up even more money to spend on mocks and growing the channel, which is what I'm truly passionate and excited about in life. Now, don't get me wrong, I still buy the occasional Lego set. In fact, I just bought 2 of the new Jurassic Park sets, which are awesome, but I don't consider myself an active collector of them anymore. And I'm not saying my collection is better than yours or better than anybody's. This is just me showing you kind of my collecting, mock building, and just a full journey, because we all have different tastes. Some of us don't mock build, some of us prefer the sets, but it can be helpful sometimes to just reevaluate and take a look at your setup and see if you're really happy about it, what you can change and adjust to get even more joy and excitement out of your Lego. But that wraps up this video. Don't forget to let me know what you thought about all this, the mocks, my thought process on all this down below in the comments, and I will catch you next time. But until then, happy building.